That's pretty wild that you guys can say you've been sued by President Biden.
We never would have imagined that in 2021, after Biden would take office, that we would be sued under the Ku Klux Klan law, not for breaking any laws, not for committing any crimes, but for what the occupants of the bus, which included White House officials, Democrat politicians, and liberal influencers, would claim is that we gave them emotional damage.
Emotional damage!
And this was put in federal court.
After these years of legal warfare, you guys finally have your day in court. Can you walk us through what it felt like to hear in that final verdict?
I think this was the most insane component of it all.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Greater Than Podcast. My name's Elijah Murrell. Listen, I'm so honored and blessed you're taking out time to join us today. Wherever you find yourself in the world, God is doing good things, and He's doing it in your life. And today I'm so excited to be joined in this episode by someone that you might know about, and it might be the reason why you clicked on the episode today, and just has a great story and a great testimony of what the Lord has done in her life. And Miss Joeylynn is here live and in person in the virtual building, so to speak. So Miss Joeylynn, how are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm awesome, Elijah. I'm excited to be here. So eager to share our testimony, this journey of faith, and how it has shaped us into the citizens we are today.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Joeylynn, for being on. And first and foremost, I want to jump in here, but I want to talk about your husband, you and your husband, and kind of your background. A lot of people who are clicking on this episode already may know some of what happened and took place. And we're going to get into that too, of course. But I want to kind of get a peek into you guys and you and your husband and y'all's even love story. Like, how'd you guys meet and all that good stuff?
So my husband and I are high school sweethearts. We're actually celebrating our 18th wedding anniversary this Valentine's 2025. So we're very
Awesome.
blessed that we've made it through a lot of trials and tribulations. Nothing quite like what we're going to discuss today. Nothing like being sued under the Ku Klux Klan law to really bring you together. But
yeah, that'll do it.
Yes, we're born and raised Texans. We're now a homeschool family. We were not before this 2020 election, right? A lot has changed in our family. We have one son together. Yeah. His name is Jude. He's 14 now. We're a all-American family. We love to, try our hand at homesteading. We've got chickens. We've done goats, right? We bake our own bread. Yeah. We're kind of figuring that stuff out now. But very different from the Target shopping, Starbucks drinking, public school family we were not that long ago.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's such a change. So, Miss Joeylynn, just for people that don't know, your husband's name?
His name is Robert. Robert's a master plumber. Before we got sued, it was his dream to open up his own company, but by God's grace, he's been promoted to essentially the general manager of the plumbing company that he's at now. And I think that one day we'll be able to still pursue those dreams. And he's now had the privilege and opportunity of working in a truck as a plumber and now in the office on the back end running things. So I think he'll have all the tools he needs one day to start his own company after we can recover from the lawfare that we endured.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So the Mesaros have such a good testimony, and I'm so glad to have you on, Miss Joeylynn, to talk about this. And what I want to do here is let's start from the beginning. What led to this that maybe people are clicking on this video for? Maybe they know the story. Maybe they read the title and they're like, "Whoa, what's this?" So let's start from the beginning. What led you and your husband to drive with these Trump flags near a Biden bus in 2020? Can you take us into that story?
Yes. So a lot of your viewers probably remember that viral story from 2020 where a Trump train or a caravan of vehicles with Trump flags drove next to the Biden bus. It made national news for weeks because it surrounded the early election in 2020. And Trump himself spoke about it, tweeted about it, mentioned it at a rally. A lot of Americans felt the sentiment. They were excited to see that kind of support for President Trump in Texas. And my husband and I were new to politics, Elijah. We actually weren't even sure just a couple of weeks before that if we'd be voting for Biden or for Trump. We had only voted once in the 2016 election for President Trump then. That was because my dad said, "Hey, you guys got to vote for Trump. Hillary's crazy. We got to get y'all's extra vote in there." but I didn't follow politics, right? And so in
Yeah.
2020, my friend group is saying, oh, you have to vote for Biden because Trump is a racist. And
Hmm.
I'm like, well, actually, I voted for Trump in 2016 and I wasn't really sure if I was going to vote for him now in 2020. And then they're telling me you've got to sit here in silence and apologize for your white privilege. And I'm thinking to myself, this just doesn't seem like a good group of friends. And I don't really know if our
Hmm.
values line up. So after
Yeah.
some prayer, talking to my husband, doing a little bit of our own research, which in and of itself is a miracle that we were able to find content on the internet to show that Trump had been slandered, right? We
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
thinking, well, we do more closely align with Trump and maybe we need some new friends. We noticed a group that was forming in our own town called the New Braunfels Trump Train, and they would meet up weekly to parade around town. People would wait outside in lawn chairs and have signs and pom-poms, and this parade would come through with Trump flags, American flags, and we wanted to join up, kind of pick these people's brains. It looked like a lot of fun, and we started to feel like we belonged in a community of people where it was safe to express our political views without being told to sit there in silence, right? So when the
Yeah.
Biden-Harris campaign bus drove through Texas only a couple weeks later, for us, it was another parade. It was another opportunity to have some fun, to show who we were supporting. And we never would have imagined that 8 months later in 2021, after Biden would take office, that we would be sued under the Ku Klux Klan law, not for breaking any laws, not for committing any crimes, but for what the occupants of the bus, which included White House officials, Democrat politicians, and liberal influencers, would claim is that we gave them emotional damage. And this was put in
Mm.
federal court.
Man, that's so wild to me. Like, how do you even get to this place? I mean, you guys were at a place, so you get sued basically by Biden's administration or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty wild that you guys can say you've been sued by President Biden, at that time. That's pretty wild to say. And then also too, like, you guys are on the news. You guys end up
Yeah.
on didn't like Whoopi Goldberg or somebody like that on The View? Didn't they talk about you guys? Like, what's going through your
Yeah.
mind during this?
Oh my gosh. So back to the perspective of being new to politics, right? Not understanding
Yeah.
cancel culture, not understanding
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is going
yeah,
on. I'm thinking
yeah.
to myself, why would they say those horrible things? Whoopi Goldberg was somebody I loved to see in movies I loved to watch, right? And I'm thinking, why
Yeah.
would she say that we're emboldened racist bigots crawling out from under our rocks, her and Sunny Hostin, and saying that we look like a scene out of Mississippi Burning and that it's the most dangerous thing you can do to drive on the road next to a bus, a public road we pay taxes to drive on? Why would she say these things? And it all really, truly became more clear through this journey, this crash course in Lawfare 101, where I understood constitutional rights I never knew that came from God and cannot be given or taken by man, which is exactly what was happening here in this lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And developing a love and a passion for those rights, wanting to educate other people on that, and wanting to defend them not just for our family, but for every other American, because we understood what was happening here was an infringement on free speech rights, fueled by mainstream media and these narratives that just agitate these really extreme viewer bases to champion this lawfare against us because we disagree with them. That, hey, because we don't like what you're saying, this is good, this is right. Well, hold on a second. If we set a precedent at the federal level that you can sue somebody and bankrupt them under the Ku Klux Klan law, particularly a presidential administration, to average Americans because you don't like what they're saying, well, what would stop conservatives from doing that to liberals? I mean, what you're chanting for is something that could impact you. So we're having to stand up for the free speech rights of people who we disagree with, who can't even understand the bigger picture here.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys go through this thing. You go through this thing, go through a trial and stuff like that happens, and it's a 4-year fight that ensues here, and so it's a 4-year fight that goes on. Ku Klux Klan Act of what is it, 1871, something like that, I believe it is, right? And that you guys are under now throughout this 4-year fight. What are these? There has to be moments where you're feeling the weight of it, where this thing's trying to crush you. So how did your faith in Jesus Christ help you persevere through such? I mean, we're talking about dark times. Like, this is a whole administration against you guys. Like, can you talk about how your faith played a role in helping you guys through this?
Yes. And thank you for pointing it back to that, because that is the only thing that got us through this. The only thing that got us through this is the joy of the Lord, the strength of the Lord, and the victory of the Lord. Otherwise, every other odd was stacked against us. It was completely impossible, which is exactly how God likes to show up in the last minute of the last hour when it seems impossible. And it all points to him. It is only because of our faith in Christ that we were able to wake up every day and put one foot in front of the other, because there is a crushing weight of lawfare by design. The whole point of it is to torture you into crying uncle, into giving up, into tapping out. And that's how they win. They want to deplete you of your financial resources, of your character. They want to bankrupt your character, your bank account, your emotions, your rest, right? We're going on 4 years of sleepless nights and hits in our stomachs and lumps in our throats. We've got hair falling out, weight gain, weight loss. We're afraid the FBI is going to raid our house. Our son's afraid to go to sleep because he doesn't know if his parents are going to get taken away. We're getting death threats. People are saying that I deserve to get raped. There's influencers that are telling their followers to call CPS to try to report us as domestic terrorists to get our son taken away from us. You know, it was a ever-loving nightmare, and yet we were able to have the joy of the Lord, and we had this hope that he called us to this for him to receive the glory and for us to accomplish something great. And we certainly did, and not by our own accord. God did with us. It was a privilege to be a part of, and what we can get into in this interview is really how the courts tried to stack this case against us, like we've heard against Trump and January 6ers, to prevent us from being successful. And yet justice prevailed, and yet God had his way, and we were able to set a landmark win for free speech rights. But it was through throwing ourselves, at the feet of Christ, spending so much time with him, that we were sanctified in that with him, that we kept our eyes on him. And it's like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. I mean, we're not going to bow to you. Our God will save us. But even if he doesn't, we're going to dance with him in that fire. And we were so blessed and so fortunate to be able to dance with our Savior in the fire and to be delivered, not even smelling like smoke.
No, that's so good, Miss Joeylynn, because I think a lot of times, especially in our camp with believers, people that are believers that profess Christ, a lot of times we want God to deliver us out of the fire. But actually, the Bible talks about God delivering you through the fire. Yeah. And so, and that's what's in the book, right? That's what's in the Bible, right? That we subscribe to and we believe in. So I just find it so fascinating that the Lord helped you guys through this fire. I mean, something in an ordeal that many people have no concept of and won't have a concept of. This is something I don't think people grasp the seriousness of what you guys walk through. This is a very, very serious thing and trying time that you guys walk through. So after these years of legal warfare, you guys finally have your day in court in September of 2024. Can you walk us through those 3 weeks of trial, what that was like and what it felt like to hear in that final verdict?
Yes. So I think this was the most insane component of it all. The journey in and of itself, getting to the trial, was extensive and fatiguing and expensive. I mean, we're talking upwards of $500,000 in legal fees we did not have. So we had to cash out our 401k to get a small start and start fundraising with the help of the American people, $5, $10, and $20 at a time, because First Amendment rights, the ones that pop into everybody's head, the first ones you think of, nobody wanted to get involved with our case. They either didn't like the Ku Klux Klan affiliation. They said that they don't specialize in defending political free speech, just religious free speech. So what we were seeing is that the conservatives really are only defending a small portion of the First Amendment, but not in its entirety. So the left, of course, is aiming for that hole in the armor. And then who's there to stand up for us and to fight? And so we were fortunate enough to get one attorney to represent us, but not able to do it pro bono. He could not afford to carry this for 4 years. And so we're fundraising for that. During the course of the trial, we are experiencing the media slander of the 30 plus attorneys that they've brought against us with this case, right? They've got major press releases. We're having to learn legal updates from the news before they even file it with the court. So we're having to play catch up with the legal system because they're going straight to the media. They are hiring expert witnesses to portray us as political extremists with white supremacist tendencies, to liken us to the Ku Klux Klan with graphic designers that are uploading on these websites of these civil rights groups that are funding this lawsuit, right? And so closer to the trial, the plaintiffs try to force us to settle. They offer us a plea deal. If you just say sorry, we'll let you out. If you just sign here, we'll let you out. And we're thinking to ourselves, we did not come this far. We did not ask widows and retired individuals and single moms and people to donate to our cause to defend free speech, to roll over and to kiss the rings. We are absolutely not going to do it. No, on the only condition we would settle on is if you apologize to us, if you pay our legal fees. That is the only way that we're settling with you. And of course, that infuriated them. They went to the judge, who's Obama appointed. They asked him with a motion. They filed a motion asking him to force us to settle. And this is amidst a time. So there were 8 original defendants. 2 of them did settle. 6 of us went to court, and we fought hard. We stood together. We prayed. Those 3 weeks in the courtroom wore us down, Elijah. There is nothing quite like walking in with a notepad and a pen, a yellow notepad and a pen, and you're one attorney, when they're lining around the courthouse with 50 plus attorneys and interns with their carts, their suitcases, their trifolds, their poster boards, the media, right, all on their side. And then to be portrayed by them in such a way before an Austin jury, which is not a jury of our peers, might I add, before an Obama-appointed judge that's objecting to that he's overruling every objection we have, and he's granting everything to the plaintiff's party. They're allowing their expert witnesses on the stand to discredit us. Our expert witnesses are not allowed on the stand, saying that they're not qualified enough. There were 21 motions in limine, meaning we were limited from discussing the facts to the jury. So we're thinking we're going to get our day in court. The jury's going to see this. Well, newsflash, not when you can't talk about the things that you want to talk about. One of which is the First Amendment, Elijah. They did not allow us to reference, publish, post, or provide any remnant of the First Amendment to the jury until the final day of this 3-week trial, where the judge redefined the First Amendment, which ought not to be done. You cannot amend the Constitution on your own accord, especially as a federal judge. And so when all this is considered, the odds were completely stacked against us. And yet the jury was able to see that this was politically motivated, that this was an attempt to silence the opposition, and that this could start happening to other Americans. And so when we heard the verdict that we were not guilty, it was almost so unbelievable, not because we didn't believe that our Lord could do it, but because we knew how stacked against us it was. And we thought maybe that it was God's will for it to go south so that we could appeal this to the Fifth Circuit and the Supreme Court. But we were able to be vindicated that day and set a landmark win for free speech rights, and may God have the glory.
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. And some of the evidence, that I saw just in corresponding and looking up some things, like, you see the bus and the people on the bus saying such mean and vulgar things and things of that nature, and how these things kind of played a part in helping to vindicate you guys. And I just see it's that classic verse in the Bible, what the enemy means for evil, that God turns it for good. And I just think that's such a powerful thing.
Yes, we have gotten to see that time and time again, because the bigger the blessing, the bigger the curse, man. The enemy meant a lot of evil for 4 years in this case with a lot of people. And so God has just heaped the blessings on us time and time again. We look at the amount of Americans we've been connected to through this process, people who have poured into us. We've been able to encourage them with our resolve and with our faith. And we look at the people we've met and the things that we've accomplished, and how God has used us, and we've gotten to experience his hand in this. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I did not enjoy it, but God has been faithful in it. And I have to point out that even about 2 weeks before our trial, the key plaintiff who brought the case, his name, Dr. Eric Servini, he is a business partner with RuPaul, the drag queen. They have one of the largest LGBTQ plus stores in California. They transitioned a rainbow bus to stock it with sexually explicit books and drive it across the United States, handing these books out for free to children in conservative areas where parents are complaining at school board meetings, get these books off the shelf, it's pornographic, and they're handing them out for free. That key plaintiff who brought this case, and in my opinion, It's a social justice cause to try to send a warning to other people. Like if you're wanting to drive your bus across the United States in an area where parents are going to want to protest it, think again, because you're going to get sued under the Ku Klux Klan law, right? I feel like they're trying to set this precedent so they can go out and do that kind of stuff. But that man
Yeah.
wasn't even there that day. He heard about it. He heard about us driving next to the Biden bus. That's what gave him emotional damage. He's the key plaintiff in this case. 2 weeks before the trial,
my goodness.
he drops his case against us, drops it and walks away. The plaintiffs seal the reason why, although we can all draw our own conclusions. And we're not even able to tell the jury, hey, this case is falling apart right before your eyes. That was one of the things that was sealed. We were also not allowed to tell them it was not a criminal matter. They had to assume that we were criminals because we could not clarify that there were no criminal charges. So they're hearing words like Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists. These experts are coming up and saying, well, because they homeschool, go to church, pray, vote for Trump, those multiple intersections increase their risk to society as threats to democracy, right? This was the biggest case of lawfare, right up there with President Trump, right up there with what we've seen with January 6th, the pro-life protesters at abortion clinics, right? This is what the left wants to do to silence Americans. And I'm so grateful that our new AG, Pam Bondi, has just declared an effort and a movement to address the weaponization of the judicial system against Americans for political motivation, and that Trump now has an executive order about lawfare.
Yeah, it's so good to see and how God used you guys and helped sustain you and carry you through to do something that was way, way bigger than just you, way, way bigger than just left or right, right? It has to do with American, and our rights and our privileges as Americans. And so it's just so beautiful to see and watch. And I encourage you guys watching and listening to this, if you're watching this right now on YouTube especially, hey, give this a like, and also to subscribe for more content like this. We have different stories of people that walk through and see the hand of God move. But on the subject matter like this, we want to make sure we get some likes. We want to make sure this kind of video has the potential to get in front of a lot of eyeballs, because we want this kind of awareness to be brought to it. So make sure you like this video and share it with somebody that you think it would be a blessing to as well. Miss Joeylynn, I want to ask here now, okay, you won the case, and you also shared that, you know, during this time you're undergoing some trauma and it makes sense. You're going through a traumatic experience, and there was a recovery period that happened here. And I want to kind of highlight that. What was that healing process? What has that been like for you?
Oh, that was so needed. There was we were catapulted into a fight we didn't choose. Nor did we expect, nor were we prepared for. God equipped us, and it was a lot of work. It was fatiguing not to sleep, to feel hunted like prey, to not know the outcome, and to understand the weight impacted every single other American who didn't even know it was happening. You know, we're so small, we couldn't really get our voices heard. We couldn't get I was trying to metaphorically light myself on fire with a megaphone and tell people, like, this is what they're doing to us. They want to do it to you. We've got to band together. We need your help. And I just felt like it was falling on deaf ears. And 4 years of that just was a huge burden to carry. God was faithful, but it still wore us out. And I mentioned it earlier, but the hair loss, the fight or flight mode, the adrenaline that's pumping, the cortisol levels, your body's completely out of whack trying to survive. And then it ends in one day. It ends. And then what do you do, right? Like, so you have this momentum, the same force that's holding you up is pushing you down, and then it just ceases to exist, and you're just like completely displaced. You're having grief from the years that were stolen from you. It's a whole smorgasbord of feelings that just kind of all come out that you were holding at bay while you were surviving. And so, my husband helped me go through trauma therapy. I think I feel more than other people feel. I think it's a gift that God has given me to be able to pray for and intercede for people. But I feel hard and intensely, and I needed help to give it to God. I kept giving it to him and taking it back and thinking about it and chewing on it and carrying too much around. And so I spent 3 months resting hard, just resting in the presence of the Lord, praising the Lord. And it was so good for my soul. I had never calmed myself or been still like that in my entire life. I'm a go, 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 high energy, fast paced kind of individual, and had never stopped to slow down and to rest. It was so good for my soul, and God was faithful to restore my health to me. You know, my family and I are working. 2025 is a year of let's exercise together, let's eat right together, let's get a good night's sleep together, let's just take back what the enemy stole from us. Um,
Amen.
and so we want to be able to recover so we continue in the good fight, right? Like I shared with you, next up on the horizon is a youth conference to teach teens biblical citizenship, a love for this nation, the history that we have, and how the Bible is intertwined in over 1,500 Bible verses to set the framework for our Constitution, and how we can excite them to activate their faith in society and go out and influence those 7 mountains of influence, right? So,
Yeah. No, that's so good, Joeylynn. I loved hearing your story of coming through and developing it as the Lord's helped you and giving it to God and finding that out. And you mentioned it, so let's go ahead and highlight that more. You guys are planning on this youth conference, the right to teach constitutional rights. Why is it so important for the next generation to understand these things, our constitutional rights, and defend their freedoms? Why is that so important?
oh my goodness. If we love our kids, we're going to teach them to love freedom. If we love our kids, we're going to stack those stones like when the Israelites crossed the Jordan, right? We're going to remind our children about our history and what God did for us and how he's delivered us so that they can keep those freedoms alive. Like in Deuteronomy, we hear if you follow these laws, it's for your long life, your prosperity, your success, for other nations to look at you and say, wow, look at them. They're doing it right. And so that is the blessing and the privilege of Americans, to have this nation under God and to keep those ideals alive in a society that is rewriting history, drowning out the voice of free people, right? Freedom is a gift of the Lord, and it is our job to carry that torch, and may it not be extinguished on our watch. But our children can carry it, and it burn brighter for them. And so educating our children on their rights is so important to me, because I did not have that. So when I was sued, Elijah, I didn't even know I had a constitutional right to free speech that was being infringed on. When you do not know your rights are being infringed on, it's very hard to defend them, and it's hard to assert them. So you have to do the responsible thing of knowing what your rights are, asserting them and defending them, teaching them to others. And who better than our children, the arrows that God has given us to put in our quiver to attack with the enemy, right? This culture war. So for me, it's very, very special and important. My son is 14. The enemy took so much time away from our homeschooling efforts these last 4 years that I want to pour everything I can into him, what he's doing these next 4 years of his high school education and his peers. And so God has really called us there. I'm excited for it. And you probably also know we have launched a countersuit against these plaintiffs to hold them accountable for what they've done. So that is also the next thing that's on our agenda. And I can't wait to see the Lord move there also.
No, yeah, that's so good, and it's so powerful, so needed in this time, this season we find ourselves in. What's some information for that conference that you guys got going, Miss Joeylynn? Is there any way that people can find out about that?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. So I'm posting about it on my socials. So my Instagram is my name. It's Joeylynn_Mesaros. Same thing on Facebook. I am currently asking for donations to help make this event successful. Very excited that we're having Wall Builders, which has access to the largest working library of American artifacts and memorabilia.
Wow.
You can see the jacket that Abraham Lincoln was shot in, or a piece of George Washington's hair in a locket. You can see proclamations of the Black Robe Regiment pastors compelling the American people to pray and to fast. It's phenomenal pieces of history that's working, touchable, tangible. We want to bring that to the children. We want to electrify biblical citizenship concepts. We've got young speakers speaking to them who have authored books at the age of 17, who have been youngest representatives to run for legislation. We've got a great, great turnout. It's called Occupy America, Faith Unleashed. We are called to occupy until Christ comes. And what that means, we want to teach our children. So what I hope to do here, this first inaugural event, if you will, in Texas, I want to be able to take around the United States in tandem with Patriot Academy, that has phenomenal biblical citizenship resources. I encourage everybody to check Patriot Academy out. Free to access, free to learn this amazing history. So on my socials or my website, freespeechdefender.com, people can support our continued fight to educate
Mhm.
constitutional rights, to defend constitutional rights, and to go on the offense for such a time as this. And we are still $44,000 in debt to our attorney, which he is putting on hold to go on the offense because it's so important and time sensitive. But we are still fundraising, even though the fight is over. The fight is not over. Every dollar
Yeah.
helps. Every $5 cup of coffee that could be saved and put towards our fight could make a difference in a child's life or in the judicial system, which could impact every American later. So we appreciate anybody's help, and they can go to freespeechdefender.com.
No, that's wonderful, and I encourage you to do that. This reminds me of when the disciples were preaching Jesus, and they were saying, "Hey, you guys can't preach and teach anymore in the name of Jesus," and they beat up Paul, I believe. Excuse me, they beat up Peter and John, and then they go back to their people. And the Bible says after they've been let go, they went back to their people, and then they prayed a prayer. And this is where I want to get to here that ties into this story, y'all's story. They prayed a prayer and they said, "Lord, grant us boldness to speak forth your word." And if you look it up in the Greek, because the New Testament is written in Greek, if you look it up in the Greek, that word for boldness literally means free speech. Is literally what that means in the Greek New Testament. So they're literally praying, "Lord, give us free speech. We want to be able to communicate your word and communicate what's going on, what Jesus has done for us." And so when I hear y'all's story, that's why I was so happy to have you on, is because it reminded me of that, where they said, "Lord, grant us this free speech to be able to communicate these things." And because it's just so powerful, it affects everybody, and it affects people on the right and on the left, this concept of free speech. And we want the integrity of our rights to be upheld, and we want to defend those.
Yes, that is such a good word. I'm so excited to do a deep dive on that after we hop off here. That's going to be something I really chew on and appreciate. That speaks so closely to my heart, and I absolutely agree. This is free speech is a nonpartisan issue. It is a gift from the Lord, and it cannot be taken or given by man, but it can be defended. And so it's our job to work together, to unify, to ensure that continues for our children. Like RFK says, can we at least agree to love our kids more than we hate each other, right? Can we work together for freedom and for these rights that God gives us instead of hating each other? And that is my goal. So thank you for believing in that. Thank you for being a minister that is not afraid to incorporate the mountain of government, which God calls us to occupy as well. And I think so many Christians and so many pastors are hands off. They don't want to incorporate that because they're misunderstanding of church and state, which is not listed in our Constitution, by the way. It was just in a letter from one founding father to another. But the reason why it was even mentioned at all is so that we do not find ourselves in a state like England did, where the king is forcing religion to incorporate him and worship, right? It is not so that we can't talk about these political matters. Jesus was very political, and he calls us to go out and to teach everybody everything that he has taught us. That includes politics. That includes building walls. That includes self-defense. That includes marriage and work and education, right? Not to pick and choose. And so thank you for being brave to go there and for giving me a voice with your audience.
Oh, of course, Miss Joeylynn. Such an honor to have you on. I like to ask people at the end of an episode, it's Greater Than podcast, based off 1 John 4:4. You are of God, little children. You've already overcome them, for greater is he that's in you than he that is in the world. So when you hear that, Miss Joeylynn, greater is he that's in you than he that is in the world, what comes to your heart and mind when you hear that verse?
Oh man, I've gotten to see it firsthand. I've gotten to experience the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I have seen that he is greater, and I have seen the defeat of my enemy. And I can't wait for that ultimate victory in Christ, where we reign with him, because he has conquered it all. Every battle, the small to the large, whether we see it or not, he is good, he is faithful. We just put our hope in him. We wait on him. We quiet ourselves before him, and we let him fight for us. We do the work, but he gets the victory for us.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Miss Joeylynn, for being on. It's been such a privilege having you on the podcast today. And I want to thank you guys for watching and listening. Like I said, make sure you like the video. We want this to spread. We want more people to hear about their story. And because this is a big deal, it's about freedom of speech. And this is a big deal. And it affects everybody, not just one particular camp. And so please do that. Remember to like it, comment on it, let us know, check out what they're doing, and support that. My name is Elijah Murrell. I don't want you to forget this now. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.